Adriana Ramirez. I'm the Executive Director for Federal Programs, and I'm very pleased to have all of you joining us today. We thank you all for your participation. A lot of the parents, I know that you've been at all of the U.C.O.Ps throughout the year, a lot of all of our meetings. So we thank you for that. As we begin, before we begin, I want to just call up our Department of Federal Programs. If our coordinators and our staff members could please just join me up front really quick. Yes, all our coordinators and staff members, if y'all could just join me up front real quick. I wanted to take the time to recognize very important members of our department. All of these people, they work really hard all year long behind the scenes. They are responsible for all of the beautiful decorations, the food, the planning, everything that goes into not only this meeting, but the other meetings that we had throughout the year and all of the events that take place. So I want, if you all could please help me, join me in giving them a big round of applause and recognizing them for all of their hard work. Thank you very much. Joining us today, we have our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Rebecca Morales. In the back, if you could just stand and be recognized. We also have our Executive Directors for Accountability, Ms. Cristina Cabello. Just wave. Our Director of Counseling, Ms. Melissa Chapa Ramirez. And we have a very important presentation today, and we feel really pleased and privileged that we have two attorneys, two assistant district attorneys from Webb County that are going to be joining us today. We're going to be talking about social media and how we can best be aware of what's out there on the internet and all of the different social programs. We, as parents, we know some of those programs. We know Facebook, we know Instagram, but you know, when you start to talk to your kids, they seem to know more. They always know more. And the summer months are coming up. They're not going to be on campus. They're going to be at home. And when they have that extra time, they're on their phones, they're on their computers, they're on their iPads. So we hope that the information that you all learned today will make us just more aware, and we can have conversations with our children to kind of prepare them and, how can I say, prevent them from getting into any trouble or keep them out of danger. So with that said, it is my pleasure to introduce to you, today we have attorney Mr. Roy Soto and Cristina Santos Rodriguez. They are joining us again from the DA's office. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to be giving a presentation. As they said, my name is Rogelio Soto. I'm accompanied by my colleague, Cristina Rodriguez. And we're going to be presenting on the dangers of social media and online dating. Real quick, before we start, I know it's Teachers Appreciation Week, so we could just give a round of applause to all the teachers and all the counselors and everybody here for everything they do. I'll say a little joke before I start. This morning I received a text, and I received a text from my high school counselor, Miss Isabel Stelem, and she asked me, "Are you going to be on time for this at 11:30?" And I said, and I realized, wow, I've come full circle. She used to be on me about college applications in high school when I was 17, and now she's on me about showing up on time for presentations. So I was like, this is truly coming full circle. So the types of social media. Who here, as a parent, has social media by a show of hands? Can you raise your hand, please? A couple of us, right? Now, when we sign off on these applications, we're saying that we consent, we sign that we're an adult, we're over 18. though, I'm sorry, the arrow? This one right here? Oh, this one, okay. Or maybe down?
So these are some of the most common social media platforms. I know you've probably heard of all of these. There's Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, WhatsApp, and there may be more that even we don't know about. But I think a lot of us have social media pages on several of these platforms, and so our kids do as well. So these are just some of the most common ones, that y'all should be familiar with.
As Mr. Rodriguez stated, these, and that way you can also see, for those that are not familiar, when your child with their phones, because they have access, right? These are the apps that they're downloading. These are the pictures that how they'll appear. One that's very popular is TikTok among teenagers and middle schoolers. Instagram as well, Snapchat. Snapchat is one where things can get a little complicated with disappearing messages, disappearing photos, and stuff like that. So this is just to give you a general idea of what they look like.
So we also like to, ask the kids, what do they do online? Social media and stuff is great for a lot of reasons. They can keep in touch with family members that live far away. We all do that too. I have family that lives out of town. They get to see my kids, grow up on my social media where they otherwise, wouldn't keep in touch as much. So there's a lot of good stuff out there, but there's also a lot of stuff that can be harmful or dangerous to our children. So we have to talk to them, and make sure that they are understanding what are the good ways to use this social media and the internet.
And one of the things that, how do we keep tabs of our children? How do we, break that barrier where we're trying to, be part of their lives, but also give them the same privacy and respect that a teenager wants or expects, right? It really comes down and it boils down to communication, talking to them, telling them, I'm not going to judge you. I'm here to support you. But most of all, I'm here to protect you. Because what happens is that a lot of times they feel intruded on. They feel like, Mom, Dad, you're just trying to get into my business and stuff like that. And of course, we love our children. We would do anything for them and we want to protect them. But we also want to try and break down that barrier. And how do we do that? Communication. And what we hope to do is inform you all about the types of risks and dangers. That way, one, you all are aware, but two, you can also kind of talk to your children about it so they're more open to the idea of getting help from you all, okay, or getting some guidance. Because it's very easy to say, Mom, get out of here, or, Mom, you don't know, Dad, you don't know, and stuff like that. And it is a very different time. The internet was very different from when a lot of us were in high school or middle school, and it just keeps changing and getting more complicated, and there's more information, more hoops. There's a lot of apps that sometimes it appears to be one thing. For example, there's an app that can appear like a calculator, right? The calculator app on the iPhone. But when you open that app, there's an app where if you put in a certain number on the calculator and you put the equal sign, it turns into what's called a vault. And in that vault, if you put in the certain punch code, you're able to hide photos, you're able to hide videos, you're able to hide text messages and stuff like that. And it's all because you're able to save it there. So those are some of the things that we're going to be reviewing with you all, okay?
So we also like to talk to the kiddos and encourage parents to talk to the kiddos about just also basic internet safety, right? Like, what are our kids putting on their social media pages? Are they using their real names, their birthdays, where they live? who their parents are. Like, just giving basic biographical information gives strangers a lot of information about them. Sometimes, a photo will show what school they go to, where they like, what places they like to hang out. So we try, we want to encourage them to share as little of their biographical and personal information as possible on their social media pages, and just to keep their information safe when they by using passwords, and by just really limiting what they put out there.
Going off of that, we're dealing, or you all are dealing with your children, right? These are the people that you're trying to protect, but they also don't understand that, you need to have a filter, okay? Filter as in, you need to limit the amount of information that you're putting out there on the web, because when it's out there, anyone can get it. Anyone can search you. If you put on your, your information, stuff like that, hey, I go to, United High School, and then you put like part of the Larriettes and stuff like that, or whatever, club you're in, or if you put, I like a volleyball team and stuff like that. These are little filters that people online who aren't necessarily students, but can also be adults, can search for and stuff like that. Then they can see who's a member, who's registered and stuff like that. Or on the other side of the spectrum is that the fact that if you all are going out of town and your children are posting, yes, we get excited when we go out of town. We it's a trip, we love it. But they're also posting here with my whole family and stuff like that, enjoying it. People are realizing, or people are aware that you're out and your house is unguarded and stuff like that. So there's just things that you want to keep certain or certainly personal and stuff like that. I know we can't, we all don't want to live in a bubble and stuff like that. But what we portray online and what we allow to be shared is viewed, we don't realize the consequences because it's viewed by everybody.
So that's just to reiterate a little bit. Talk to your kids about keeping their social media accounts private, so they can still have these pages. And let's be honest, they're all, they all have them. They're all gonna have them. Kids love social media for a lot of the good reasons. So as parents, just encourage them to keep those pages private and to befriend people that they actually know in real life. So as a parent, have that open dialogue, ask them to go through their friends list. Do they know all these people that they have on these pages? So just, if you also have social media pages, befriend your own child and just keep tabs of what they're doing on these apps as well.
Because it is a common trend among teenagers and middle school. I keep saying teenagers because that's our general audience, that what we're looking at, but I want to include this goes for middle schoolers as well. We give this presentation with the middle school as well. It's that it's always a competition. How many likes did you get? How many followers do you have? Are you like, everybody wants to have the coolest video and stuff like that. And so what they do is they go on like a ad spree and add friends and stuff like that. Even like, do you know this person? No, but like, well, what school do they go to? I don't know. And sometimes it's middle schoolers that are adding high school kids. Sometimes it's high school kids that are adding college students and stuff like that. So, it's important to stress being selective about the friends that you're adding and stuff like that. And then sometimes it's high school students that believe maybe this person, I think they went to high school. They look like they went to high school or from another high school. And really, it could be some 30 to 40, 50-year-old individual who's using a photo that you're able to find online. You put it as your Facebook profile picture or your profile picture on Instagram or whatever you're using, and you use that and you pretend to be that person. Why? Because online you can be whatever you want. You can portray that your life is the best and that you have no worries in the world and stuff like that. And those are the risks that are run. So it's important that you stress to your children, talk to them about being selective, about the information, about what's public, who can see what, who can share what. Because sometimes they make a post and people share their posts and stuff like that. Okay?
So we're gonna get into a little bit of what the actual dangers of social media can be, and one of those is cyberbullying. And cyberbullying includes sending or posting or sharing any harmful, mean, or harassing personal information about somebody else on the internet. So one of the things that's different in today's day and age is that, I don't know how old a lot of you are, but back when I was in even high school, the use of social media wasn't as pervasive as it is today. Back then, I guess if you were being bullied at school, you could go home and you were disconnected from that. Now kids they're able to be bullied constantly. If they're getting bullied at school, they can be, bullied on the internet. So sometimes, the bullying continues through the phone, on these apps, like they're getting messages. And that's what we call cyberbullying. It's persistent. It's different from, bullying in the past, because it makes it difficult for children to get away from the bullies nowadays.
And before we talk further about this, I just want to warn everybody a little bit, or just give a little caution, throw it out there. We're going to be talking about a little bit of about some topics. Some may be sexual in manner, and some may be what some people might find offensive. But we need to talk about this because it's important to understand, and also for if there's people with children or people who have their children at home on Zoom, okay? Just so you all can be aware in case your speakers are on. But yes, cyberbullying is a serious thing. It's persistent, just like Ms. Rodriguez said. When you go home, you don't escape it. Why? A majority of children have phones. All of them do, right? Teenagers, usually middle schoolers. That's a computer. If whatever they want to search, whatever they want to do, whatever they want to look at, as long as there's no parental controls on certain items and stuff like that, they have access to it. It's a laptop, it's a computer, it is a handheld device that they can explore the entire world on, okay? Which is why it's important to sometimes keep in mind the parental controls on the devices, talking to your kids about having an understanding of letting you view some of their messages and stuff like that. Because for a lot of children who are getting bullied by cyberbullying, a lot of times, they have people sending them direct messages, or they're having people post comments telling them that they're ugly, that, body shaming them. They're making fun of their economic status by saying, oh, you're poor, you can't afford these things and stuff like that. What kind of shoes are those and stuff? Or you're so dumb, you should just kill yourself. And a lot of times, children, if they don't feel that they don't have anyone to talk to, they're just going to keep that all inside. They're going to be angry, they're going to be upset, they'll do poorly in school and stuff like that. So again, we're going to stress this throughout the entire conversation, is communication. And today we're going to talk and we're going to inform you all about a lot of things, but it's also important to do your own research. Talk to your child, see what they like, see, ask them what apps do they use and stuff like that. That way you can, on your own time, educate yourself, because the best offense is the best defense. You can only protect your family and your home if you are able to inform yourself, educate yourself, and put yourself in that type of environment where you can say, how can I help my child and protect them, or my family as well?
So these are some of the most common cyberbullying tactics that we see. And as we mentioned earlier in our presentation, we're both assistant district attorneys. So we prosecute cases, and both of us have prosecuted a lot of special victims cases. So we see a lot of these crimes involving kids, and sometimes cyberbullying ends up, rising to that level. So these are some of the things that we see, that do happen. Any threats, to hurt somebody, or to threatening somebody to kill themselves, posting mean, harmful pictures, photos, pretending to be somebody else, and bothering another child, lying about another child, and just bullying kids who are economically challenged, sharing photos. Sometimes those include, nude photos that these kids don't think about and they're sending out. So all of these behaviors are forms of cyberbullying.
One common trend that we see among teenagers is that, let's say, and sometimes people get caught up and stuff like that. Let's say someone shares a photo, all right? And they might share a photo of an intimate body part, and possibly their breast or the vagina, right? And they send it to somebody. What happens is that that person ends up using that. Well, first they say, if you love me, you'll send it to me. Or if you care about me and stuff like that, you'll send it to me. And somebody who feels trapped or they don't want to lose what they think is an amazing relationship in their future sends it, right? Well, what happens is sometimes that individual will get that photo, say, well, if you don't send me another one. I want another one. No, I'm just going to send you that one. Well, you know what? If you don't send it to me, I'm going to show all my friends this picture. I want another picture. And that can come from teenagers, and that can come from adults who are contacting teenagers on these dating apps or on these social media apps. Or the other one is that if you don't send it to me, I'm going to send this picture to all your friends and family. So what happens? People end up getting basically sextortion, where they're giving these photos, blackmailed, yes. They're giving these photos because they're scared of what can happen, and before they know it, they're drowning in all these photos and videos that they've sent of intimate moments. And that also includes and we have people where they'll come tell us, hey, that's a crime, that's child pornography. And we have to also explain, yes, that is child pornography, but there are, your child, not only, it's bad to send it, it's illegal to send those types of photos and videos, it's also illegal to possess them and to redistribute them. Okay, so one thing we always stress to parents is like, yes, let's just focus on trying, and that's the thing, I'm going to say let's focus on trying to get the picture and deleting it and getting rid of it. The problem is that usually once it's out there, it's gone. It's going to spread like and people trade them like basketball cards or, trading cards and stuff like that. And the thing is, it goes both ways. We have females who do it. We have boys who do it. There's bullying where a girl will pretend to like this boy, and she'll pretend to like them, and the little boy is like, wow, this girl likes me. Like, oh my gosh, she's super cute and stuff like that. And we've had situations where the girl is doing this because her and her friends want to get a picture from the little boy, and then they get a picture of the boy's genitals, and then they'll send it to the grade as a joke and stuff like that. Before and there's cases where students have had to switch schools and stuff like that. And it's like, how do you prepare for these types of conversations and stuff like that? And the world's changing. The world is changing, and we're giving these handheld devices that, like I said, they're computers at our children's fingertips. So talk to them. If something happens, let them know it's okay, because it may not be the solution that they want necessarily, but there's outlets, and there's people to talk to, and there's help that they can get.
So we don't want to take up a lot of your time, but because we know there's some fun things going on after this. So this video is basically just an explanation of what kinds of things, how kids are affected by cyberbullying. They feel a lot of anxiety. They feel a lot of fear. Our kids are not as resilient as we are, right? They're not mature. So to them, something that seems like a small mistake, like it's huge. It's their whole world. If they're getting bullied by their friends, like that's their entire life. So it hits kids very hard. And so as a parent, what can you do? And that's some of the things that this touches on is don't respond to any cyberbullying or any photos that have been shared or messages. You keep that evidence. So if you see something, don't delete it. Try to take a screenshot and report that to whatever social media page it was sent at, or So if it was Instagram, report that post or that person to that social media page. And then, of course, report it to law enforcement so that you have a document of that. And then, of course, never, spread that, never help share that. So that's one of the things that you can do as parents if you ever come across a situation like that. And this is what we talked about a little bit earlier. Can cyberbullying be a crime? Yes. So whenever somebody threatens violence in a text message, they make that person feel like they're going to experience bodily injury or that they're going to hurt them, immediately. So threatening violence, kids can get in trouble for that. And child pornography. If the photo is of a minor, it's child pornography. If it shows, their intimate body areas, that's just the way it is. So taking that photo can be a crime, sending that photo, and just having that photo, like Mr. Soto said earlier. And then there are also stalking crimes that can come about situations like this.
One thing I always try to stress to students when I'm talking to them is that they might have boyfriend and girlfriends in high school and stuff like that. That does not give them any extra right to their boyfriend or girlfriend's phone. A lot of times, boyfriends or girlfriends can say, hey, show me your phone. I want to see your messages and stuff like that. They need to remember they're still children. The only person they need to show their phone to really is their parent. So, I mention it so that way, you all can also share with your children is that, look, anything that involves physical bodily injury or where there's pushing and shoving or where things are getting very intense and it's over a device and stuff like that, you think it's something simple that starts off as, funny, joking, hey, let me see your phone. No, I'm not going to show you my phone. Come on, let me see your phone. I'm not going to show you my phone. Were you talking to other guys or are you talking to other girls? No, I'm just not going to show you my phone and stuff like that. And then before you know it, because we see it, there's instances where they get into a pushing, shoving match, someone pushes someone to get the phone and stuff like that, or they slap someone or scratch someone. Those are crimes. That's assault. There's bodily injury that's taken place. So it's important to remind teenagers, middle schoolers, to keep their hands off of the other person, but also that to respect boundaries and that, they don't have to show anybody their phones, okay?
So the next bit of information we have for you all is some statistics about sexting. And kids are just doing it a lot now, or a lot more nowadays. And the truth is there's not really a lot of research on why. Law enforcement agencies don't know why. It's just a simple matter of fact that they are. So about 20% of teens overall say that they have sent a nude photo, received nude photos, and this is why it's important to talk to them when they're young. It's because some of them have been, as young as 13 years old. And so some of the reasons they do it is that they just don't think anything of it. And that's why, as parents, it's important that we share the potential consequences with kids, that they know that it's something that can follow them around, forever. And that goes for everything that they post on the internet. So, sexually suggestive photos, or I know recently there was a video of some teens dancing on a cop car. So just whatever shows up, with your name on social media and you don't think about before you do and you post, can follow you.
And sometimes it's not necessarily that it was your child that took the photo and posted it. Sometimes they can be at a friend's house at a sleepover. Sometimes it can be that they were in the locker room changing for sports or an activity and stuff like that. And it's very easy for someone to pull out their phone, take a photo of someone while they're changing and not know it, and then post it or send it as a Snapchat. And, it deletes, but they send it to enough people. And, that person doesn't care if the person screenshots it at that point because it's not their photo. They're sharing it of somebody else. So you need to inform your children, hey, there are repercussions for these types of activities. If you do this to make fun of somebody else or to hurt them, you will face some consequences for that. All right? It may be funny. It's going to be funny, I guess, to you for sending it, but afterwards it's not going to be funny when, you have the parents, teachers, and law enforcement involved.
And so we make sure to iterate to the kids. If the content has a person who is naked, semi-naked, it counts as something sexual, as a sexual photo or a sexual video. And so as parents, talk to them never to feel pressured. You can't get that photo back. Make sure they understand that. You don't know who will see it. And then, of course, be aware of the mental anguish, the embarrassment that it can cause kids. So encourage your children to talk to you if they ever receive a photo, for them to tell you, and that they know that they're not obligated to send a photo back, and that they understand that it's not something that they should help send. So they need to understand those consequences, and that they should feel open to talk to you and see that that's addressed. Because actually that can also be, that's one of the crimes that we also see is revenge, what they call revenge porn. So we try to talk to the kids to make sure they understand that if they break up, with their high school boyfriend and girlfriend, and they think it's easy to just send that photo out to embarrass that person, it can also have some criminal consequences.
Because revenge porn, it's usually what happens is that the person who got broken up with, or the person who broke up with, if they find out the other person's dating somebody else, or if they felt that they were cheated on, they'll share it, right? But sometimes it's not even that person. Sometimes it can be that they just had it in their possession. The new person in their life went through the person's phone and said, oh, you still have these photos? Well, let me send these out, And so either way, it's a lose-lose situation sharing these types of photos. Not only is it illegal, it's also, you risk so much, and there's a lot of people that can be affected by this.
And this is just getting into a little bit of what the technical terms are under the law, child pornography. So we make sure to talk to children and let them know that if someone's under 18, like we've mentioned, it's considered child pornography. They can get in trouble for sending the photo, taking the photo, just keeping it. And then one of those things that can follow them around for the rest of their life is that stigma of being labeled a sex offender. Because once somebody commits a crime like that, that is something that usually follows them for the rest of their lives.
And we do see it a lot where sometimes, a mom finds out that my daughter or my son, they sent out this photo, they sent it to this person. And the investigation begins, well, who's this person? You'd be surprised at the amount of times that when we trace that Instagram account or that Facebook account, a lot of times it's nobody. It's a stranger. It was somebody who was using a fake profile, fake name. And why? Because they know how to do this. They know how. Think about it. If you're somebody who's in your 40s or 50s and you're talking to someone who's 14 years old, and let's say you do this frequently because you're a predator and you're online trying to do these types of activities, you know how to talk, you know how to groom, hey, I'll send you a Venmo, $5, like send me a picture of yourself, like a pretty picture and stuff like that. And a lot of children have Venmo, a lot of teenagers have Venmo or Cash App and stuff like that. Hey, I'll send you $20 on Cash App if you send me a picture of yourself, these children are seeing this picture of what they think is like a really handsome or beautiful person on the other side, and they're sending it. And then, you get that instant transaction onto your Venmo account. Oh, wow, this person sent me money. I wonder what else they'll send me and stuff like that. These are all tricks that people use in grooming for purposes of trying to take advantage of younger adults. And we'll talk about an operation that we did a little bit later on. But, these are all apps that I'm sure you've heard of, right? Cash App, Venmo, we use them as adults. So So do children. Hey, mom, dad, send me something on like, can you send me $20 on Venmo or something like that? Or like, hey, can you send my friend $20? They're gonna pay for me, and these are. The thing is that just the same way we try to use them for good, there's a lot of people out there who use these apps for bad, for evil.
And one of the things we tell parents to be on the lookout for, one of the ways to spot grooming is if your child all of a sudden, has these gifts that you don't know where they came from. You're like, hey, they have, these new tennies that maybe are expensive and you didn't buy for them. So again, it's important to just have that dialogue and maybe for that to trigger something and be like, hey, is something going on here? Could they possibly be being groomed right now?
And it doesn't have to be money sent through Venmo, Cash App. Sometimes it can be, hey, I'll give you a ride home so you don't have to walk. Hey, I'll buy you a Monster. Or hey, I'll buy you some tacos and stuff like that. There's just little things.
So Mr. Soto started to get a little bit into what we were talking about, online enticement, and when we're going to tell you about some of the things, the operations that have happened locally. But this is another one of those huge dangers on social media. And it's not always easy to spot because a lot of the times these predators are posing as other children. And it kind of ties into, why it's important that your kids don't put all their lives on social media because they can find something on their profile and say, hey, I really like, Taylor Swift too. Or, hey, I really also have an interest in dancing. So they'll pretend to be a child too, and they'll start to befriend these kids. And then they'll, entice them to meet up. And so it's not always, what we think of that it's somebody, luring a kid saying that they're an adult. Sometimes they pose as children and they befriend them on apps that are on blogs where they share their common interest. It's not just, messaging or WhatsApp. So it can happen on any platform.
And going off of that, so we performed an online operation. We've conducted several where we, with the help of law enforcement agencies, we work together in doing a online, basically we have officers, individuals posing as children, and because just the same way if you can be under 18 and get Facebook, you can get Instagram, you can get TikTok, all these apps, you can be under 18 years old and use Tinder, Bumble, and all these different dating apps that adults use and pretend to be 18. And in these types of situations, we had individuals posing as 15-year-olds, whether they be females or like male or female, and they would communicate with these adults. And they would communicate with these adults, hey, I'm 15 or I'm 16 years old. And people on the other side of the chat would say, oh, well, aren't you supposed to be at school? Or, that you're not supposed to be here. And they say, yeah, but, I stayed home, I'm sick and stuff like that. I pretended to be sick. My parents are out at work and stuff like that. Oh, okay. And basically these chats would continue to where they would form a little, little conversation, stuff like that. And we had people ranging from the ages of 21 to go meet a 14, 15-year-old boy or girl to men or individuals of the age of in their late 50s showing up. We had people in their 20s, people in their 30s, people in their 40s, people in their 50s. And it can be anybody that's on the other side of that. There was people that showed up that didn't match their profile picture. There was people that showed up that were married. There was people that showed up that, it can be all walks of life, right? So these are just some of the things also. Talk to your children. If they're home, be vigilant. If they're alone and stuff like that. Summer's coming up. Unfortunately, children, when they get bored and they're left in their own ways, they can explore if they're bored and stuff like that. Let them know about the dangers. When these people show up, they're showing up for something. They're not showing up for nothing. They're showing up because they believe that a sexual act is going to take place. It starts off, yeah, we'll just hang out. Well, what are we going to do? We'll do stuff. And some are more forward. Some will tell you, this is exactly what I'm going to do to you. And they'll describe every single act that they're going to do. So when we leave, and I know sometimes, they're high school students and stuff like that. Sometimes they stay home and stuff like that, or I'm gonna go work the morning, but I'll be back in the afternoon and stuff like that. Keep tabs, be vigilant, look at, if you can, try to look at the apps that are on their phone and stuff like that, just look and just question, just be like, what app is that and stuff like that. They might get mad and say, Mom, but you know what, at least you saw it and you can go do your research on your own and stuff like that, because, the worst thing you can do is nothing. And I commend all of y'all for being here. This shows that you all care and stuff like that. And the worst thing you can do is nothing, and just, let them be to their own devices and stuff like that, okay?
And one thing we like to emphasize is, I know a lot of us are familiar with that show, To Catch a Predator, right? We've seen it. But these operations that we've done are local. This happens in our community as well. These are people that showed up here in Laredo to meet, what they thought was a 14 or a 15-year-old girl. So it does happen, and we need to be aware of it for that reason. And the last little bit that we like to talk about is we like to tell the kids, to keep in mind that social media is not real life, right? And that also can hurt their mental health. They only see what other influencers, what people want them to see, and they set these standards that, kids think they're supposed to look a certain way, they're supposed to have certain clothes, follow certain trends. So we remind them that what they see on social media isn't reality, right? Like, we all put out, what we want people to see, like the best side of ourselves. Like, I only share pictures of my kids when they're cute and behaving. Like, nobody sees, when they're being little terrorists. So, everybody thinks they're little angels. So it's only what you put out there. It's an image that people curate. And, we tell kids to make sure that they still have face-to-face contact with their friends, because nowadays kids are staying home more. They're not getting out there. They're not doing activities. They're not, getting together with their friends that they grew up with, because they're at home on their phones. And it's not just the phones. Kids are, their internet on like their gaming consoles too, that they're, you don't know who they're talking to on the other side as well. So it's like they're always connected but disconnected, because they're not getting face-to-face time with people, with their families, with their friends. And so, we like to remind them to get out there, do something. Make sure you take some time to do something that gets you away from technology and lets them, disconnect.
That going back to the gaming, that is true. That is something that we also do see where, because I know sometimes people may think that this is more tailored to the females, but it does happen to boys as well who do game and stuff like that. A lot of times you'll see child predators who game online as well, but they're interested in younger boys instead. So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, I'll send you, $80 for that game so you can buy it, or I'll send you this on Venmo and stuff like that. Send me a picture, like, of you, in the shower or something like that, or like as a joke. And you talk to a young boy and it's like, well, he just wanted a picture of me in my boxers and stuff like that, or he said as a friend, like, he just thought it was funny and stuff like that. But they don't realize that they're talking to grown men who have a fantasy about this and stuff like that. So for them, something, yes.
I would like to emphasize on that. Just I know you were saying that it's catered to middle school and high school students.
Mm-hmm.
I have a third grader, and he plays a video game called Fortnite.
Uh-huh.
And he goes online, he plays with whoever is playing, and it just happened that I guess adult predator was telling him, oh, I'll send you V-Bucks if you send me a photo, here's my number. And my son, I mean, he's young, he didn't really understand the situation, but he's just like, oh, tell me, Mom, someone's gonna give me money to buy V-Bucks, which is like money for the game.
Yes.
And that's mainly why I'm here, because I wanted to know that it's not just in social media, it also does happen in real game concerts.
Yes, it does. And thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that, because this is happening whether you know it or not. Somebody is, there's always people that are we can't be around our children. We try to protect them as much as possible. We have, we have teachers and counselors and officers at the school that try to protect them as much as possible. But at some point, they're by themselves, and they're exploring the world. And how do they do it? Through their devices, their phones, their computers, their tablets, their video games and stuff like that. They're open to the world. It's free range. And you can't filter or, cipher who they're going to talk to, who they interact with, what words they hear, what things they learn, they discover, or what images they view or videos they see, okay? Which, that's awesome. That's so great that your son told you that, and that you were able to identify it and stuff like that. But for a lot of people, they're not going to tell their parents. They're not going to tell their mom because their mom doesn't know anything about, video games and stuff like that, or that's not a discussion and stuff like that. But it's something that you just need to tell them, hey, when people talk to you online, what do you all talk about and stuff like that? And sometimes there's children who like the money or the attention, and they're not going to share it with you. Why? Because they're like, hey, I'm getting this money that's not part of my allowance, and it's a lot of money, So talk to them. Don't give up. See if you and just try to engage. And going back, I'm stressing it. Educate yourselves. For us, it's a constant education. We prosecute sexual assault cases, cases involving children and stuff like that, but we need to also be familiar with the apps and the lingo and the stuff like that. The slang and the terms that you all used, that we used, it's different. There's codes and there's things that, we don't necessarily know about. And we'll get into that in a bit.
Somebody says cap, I would have thought that was a hat. Apparently that means something else nowadays. And so there's a lot of words that change meanings with the kids nowadays. But just to reiterate with that balance, something that, we emphasize as parents is that you own the phone, right? So put your foot down. You are the one that, you can take that phone away at night. That's something that we recommend doing. Make sure they're not constantly on it. It's yours. It's not theirs. So at the end of the day, as a parent, you can say, I have a right to know, everything you're doing on that phone. Make them turn it in at night, and you at least ensure that they have some time to rest away from it.
So these are just some terms to be aware of, and this is why I was saying that kids talk in code, but also predators talk in code. They want to talk and say stuff that is not necessarily hard, concrete evidence, right? Because you don't want to text a child and say, hey, send me a picture of your body parts, or hey, send me a picture of your genitals and stuff like that. Why? Because you don't want to have that there. So a lot of times it's just the word pics or pics, and people understand that is hey, send nudes, or it's also nudes, right? But there's different things sometimes when people are bullying somebody, they might KYS for kill yourself, KMS if they want to kill themselves and stuff like that, if they're battling depression and stuff like that. Parents over shoulder, POS. It might mean something else in an earlier time, POS, but now it's parents over shoulder for children. Parent alert, P911, P99, PAW, parents are watching. So a lot of these acronyms, or sometimes what they'll do is they'll say, hey, we should have a safe word. We should have a safe word that whenever your parents around, you just say that. And I'm not trying to make light of a situation, but it's oh, hey, I want pancakes, right? And you're thinking oh, she just texted this person, they want pancakes. But that person now knows, hey, the parents are in the room, or the parents are coming, or hey, the parents are, they're watching over them and stuff like that. So, let me see. And, CU46, CU4sex, and it's these acronyms where they're just trying to, not cause too much attention to it in case the parents do see it, or let's say, you call the authorities and, well, I just put CU46, that doesn't mean anything. So these are just things to watch out for. And then aside from communicating in acronyms and these types of letters and codes and stuff like that, there's also emojis to look out for. These are just some of the things that are in reference to other things. whether it's a tongue, it's the splash, the you know, sometimes they just send a camera, and it's to send a picture of yourself. If it's a video camera, it's to send a video of yourself performing a sexual act and stuff like that. Pills or an electrical cord, that should have been added, I'm sorry. Pills or an electrical cord is, sometimes it can be for a plug, for somebody to supply you with drugs, or maybe a vape, or, you know, because a lot of children also are vaping now too. It seems to be that everyone is, because it's very inconspicuous, you know, you're able, it's pretty much unscented. It's very easy to do. And, you know, you can just walk into the restroom and stuff like that. But it's also a crime, and they can be arrested for that. And some of these vapes involve, some of these vapes are regular nicotine, while others are THC, marijuana, which they can be arrested for, okay? I know these can get pretty intense, but the worst thing is that you not be informed and something terrible happen. Okay, I apologize if we offended people, but it's better to be informed and knowledgeable about the subject matter. Yes.
What is CAPE? Because I hear all the time that, oh, so-and-so's friend CAPE. And I know it has to do with safety. I'm not exactly sure what the definition of CAPE is.
That one's like a variable and stuff like that. We've had it where people are referring to like vape, but we're also people like are using it with like different stuff in the vape and stuff. We see a lot of these terms are loose terms that can mean one thing for somebody, but they mean a different thing for another person and stuff like that. So yes, no, and we try to keep track of all of them. Sometimes it's very difficult, and we sometimes we hear something and we're like, I've never heard that one. So and it's a surprise for us, but I've heard it for different things and stuff like that, and I can't give you a definitive answer. I'm sorry. Are there any other questions?
With that, though, we want to thank you all for having us here. We really enjoy giving talks like this and informing parents, informing kids about what's out there on the internet. And yet, we'd open it up for questions if anybody has any, but we don't want to keep you all from all the exciting activities that they have planned for you today.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay. So once again, please help me thank both Mr. Soto and Mrs. Rodriguez from the Webb County Attorney's Office. Thank you so much for that information. It is very informative, something that we see in the community, in the schools. So the more we know, the better we can work with our own families, our own children. At this time, if I could have your attention, it is a pleasure to introduce to you our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. David H. Gonzalez.
First of all, thank you for being here. I would thank our guests for the presentation. Thank you for the questions. And this is our last meeting of the year. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and for participating. As always, change the theme a little bit for safety. As I've always said, this is the new virus. Safety is the new virus. You see something at the school, please advise us. Please let us know. Report it. We want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We need your help. De parte de todo del distrito, le doy las gracias por todo lo que hacen todo el año. Es la última junta que tenemos este año por este año escolar. Damos las gracias por todo, por tu participación este año. Y más que todo, si van a las escuelas y ven algo que no se ve bien para la seguridad de los estudiantes, por favor, repórtenlo al director, la directora, administración. Vamos a ser parte de la solución. Ya les pido con mucho corazón que Dios los cuide y Dios los bendiga. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you all found that informative and that it's helpful. The information that you received today was very helpful. In front of you, you have an evaluation that, like always, we need you all to please fill out. If you could take a few minutes to fill that out, so then we can proceed, because we do have games and prizes that we're going to be playing right now in a little bit. We also have some parents that are joining us online, and we have a different game that we're going to play with them, so they also have a chance to win. If you are joining us online, we will give you an opportunity to also win some prizes. You'll see your name pop up on the screen, and we ask that you call the number so that you can pick up your prize. They are asking that you call the number and make arrangements to pick up your prize this week, okay? So what we're doing right now for the people at home, the people online, we're spinning the wheel, and we're going to see that it lands on a certain name. One lucky person's going to win a prize. These are online people. Keith Lamb. They are the winners of a prize, and I think they have the instructions on the screen, right? They are, is that what they're? Okay, so that is for the winner. It is a coffee pot. A coffee pot. So you feel free to call the number and collect your prize. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start for the people that are here face to face. We're going to be playing Loteria, and Ms. Villagomez will take care of that presentation.
No necesito uno, estoy... Bueno, ¿estamos todos listos? Ok, y si tienen la hoja también, the evaluation form, if you can please fill that out and just leave it there on the table, we'll be coming around to pick up. So good luck. Yes, we do have 4 prizes. How are you going to win? It is the vertical, the horizontal, or 4 corners. Es todo, right? So the vertical, horizontal, or the 4 corners. Cuatro esquinas.
La escalera. La escalera. El melón. El melón. La rana. La rana. El nopal. El nopal. La mano. La mano. El soldado. El soldado. El gorrito. El gorrito. El músico. El músico. El venado. El venado. El pájaro. El pájaro. El diablito. El diablito. El cantarito. El cantarito. El arpa. El arpa. Don't take anything off. No quite nada. Vamos a seguirla. Ah, okay. All right, it's okay. We're going to start again then. Okay. Lo vamos a limpiar, vamos a quitarla toda y vamos a seguir. Vamos a empezar de nuevo. No la quiten en la que sigue. La dejamos, ¿ok? La luna. La luna. El corazón. El corazón. El barril. El barril. El negrito. El negrito. El caso. El caso que me haces, ¿verdad? El camarón. El camarón. La botella. La botella. El mundo. El mundo. El apache. El apache. La bota. La bota. No la muevan, no la muevan. Vamos a seguir de aquí. Sí. Vamos a continuar. Si ya ganaron, pues ya no, ¿verdad? Pero los que no han ganado. El cotorro. Oh, there's two. And there's two winners. Ah, you're gonna get. A ver. Van a escoger uno. Las dos personas que dijeron lotería van a escoger un número. ¿Qué número? 8. 7. El más cerquita, va a ser el más cerquita. Number 7. Number 7. Vamos a seguir adelante, no la movieron, ¿verdad? No. Seguimos. No se está viendo acá. El venado. El venado. Lotería. Lotería.
Ya eran los últimos regalitos, oigan, ya estaban todos desesperados. Ya no tenemos más, pero quiero darles las gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Muchas gracias por todo, ¿verdad? Y acompañarnos en cada evento. Si por favor no tienen que ni recoger nada, si gustan ayudarnos, muchas gracias. Pero aquí nosotros vamos a limpiar. Por favor, hay todavía elotes, hay dulces, hay raspas, hay de todo. Y si quieren salir con mariachi, bueno, no hay, ¿verdad? Pero si gustan. Sí, ¿verdad? Los audífonos, por favor, si los pueden entregar allá enfrente. Muchas gracias.